This is the 2024 Hyundai Sonata with the Preferred-Trend package, and this is the 2020 Hyundai Sonata Sport. So the car on my left, the 2024 Sonata, is the car that I've been driving all week. And this is the car that I've been driving on and off, the 2020 Sonata Sport, because my wife actually happens to own it. So what better time to go through and show you what's changed in 4 years. So let me first talk to you about what is under the hood for the 2024 Sonata. We've got a 2.5 liter SmartStream inline 4 engine that's giving us 191 horsepower, 181 pound-feet of torque. We've also got an 8-speed automatic transmission that is actually shift by wire, and this one comes with all-wheel drive. It's the only option that you can take on the Preferred-Trend package. Now on to my right, the 2020 Sonata Sport. This one has a 1.6 liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder engine as well. That is boasting 180 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. So you can see how the turbocharger is helping that torque number out on the Sonata Sport just a little bit. Now this one also has an 8-speed automatic transmission, but it is only front-wheel drive. So with all these specs and numbers out of the way, we're gonna take you on a full tour of the exterior, then the interior, and of course, I'm gonna test drive them both and let you know if 4 years of work is worth the upgrade. Let's do it. So now we're gonna take a look at the front end for these two Sonatas. I'm gonna start over here with the 2020 Sport. You can see that already it looks way better than what they had going on in 2019 and 2018 with the 20. You can see they changed these daytime running LEDs with this strip that is some LED and then continues to be chrome right through the back. It's got a really fast front end, which we did enjoy when we were looking at the car, and the N line wasn't even available, so this was the one to go with the Sport. We've got like this kind of piano black kind of grille here. It is a little bit on the difficult challenge to clean and to keep clean, even if it rains on the car. We don't have a front-facing camera or a front parking sensors, nothing fancy like that, but for us in 4 years, we've had no problem. So now on over to my left, the 2024 all-new redesign Hyundai Sonata. When you look at these two things side by side, they could have called this 2024 Sonata something completely different because the change here is so drastic. I know they call it a redesign, but I call it a complete overhaul. And I think it really does look good here up front. I really like the design. I like the RoboCop light that stretches right across. I like the Hyundai badge kind of mounted on the hood. I also have no front-facing camera here. Also have no parking sensors because this is very much a base model other than the addition of the all-wheel drive. But I like the new body lines here. We do still have quite a bit of piano black in the front that does collect bugs as well, just the same as it was 4 years ago, although it looks radically different. But I tend to prefer the front end of the Sonata 2024, although this is still a very good looking car. Like I said, they are completely different in their own unique ways, but it's nice to see them side by side. All right, so now we come on to the side profile for the both Sonatas. Again, 2024 right here, 2020 Sport right over here. You can see immediately the rims for the 2020 are much bigger than the 2024 Sport. I think the rims actually get bigger for 2024 if you get the N line. Like I said, not available when we bought this guy. Another pretty big difference is we have turn signal LEDs on the 2020 and they're actually all part of the body for 2024. Other than that, the body side profile wise is very, very similar. Although sometimes when I look at the 2020 feels a little bit longer and the 2024 maybe a little bit more compact. And I think that might just be to do with the rims, but also you could tell that the 2024 rides just that much higher, just by a little bit. And the 2020 is actually just a little bit lower. So yeah, really not a huge change, not a lot to go over. You can see that there is still a pretty good amount of chrome on both sides, except the 2020 kind of takes the chrome and stretches it, whereas this, we have the RoboCop stuff kind of bleeding over still here. But keyless entry on both trims, very nice. Remote starter on both trims, which is also really good to have. So yeah, not a lot to complain about. These two bottom pieces here are also piano black here, 2024, they're right down there. 2020 right down here. They're still both very hard to clean and keep clean with piano black stuff, so Hyundai really hasn't changed too much there. But let's take a look at the rear because there is some pretty drastic changes back there. So finally we're on to the back for the 2024 and 2020 Hyundai Sonatas. Let's take a look at the differences because there is quite a few here on the back. You can see that for the 2020, it's just a straight line back with very straight edges, I find, like very straight and rounded edges. Whereas the 2024, there's a little bit more dynamic things going on here with the body lines. You can see the body lines a lot more throughout the whole car on the 2024. We also have it forming the H with the taillights, but that light bar is still very much there. This kind of like rear wing aerodynamic little pieces here are very much still there on both models as well, but still drastic. I like the fact that on the 2020, we still see an exhaust because I guess it's a sport mode, they're still giving you that exhaust. 2024, however, they've taken the exhaust away. You're not going to see it anymore unless you go with the N line. And then also you can see here on the side quarter here, I don't have any kind of like fake vents, whereas this one on the 2024 actually does. They're still really good looking. I still got plenty of trunk space on both of them as well as rear facing cameras, no parking sensors again for the rear for both of these models here. But the button for the trunk was hidden in the H for the 2020, and we actually have a better physical button with the 2024. But trunk space is still the same. I could fold both the seats down, absolutely no problem. Now in terms of exhaust note, neither one beats the other. They're pretty much the same engine and pretty much the same sound coming out of both. I just like the 2020 better because you can see the exhaust pipes coming out, and the 2024 still looks really good, but no exhaust. So I have to give advantage 2020 for at least the rear, but still, because they are so drastically different, you'll be happy either way. So far, let me know what you think in the comments. We're gonna hop in on the interior, and then of course, we're gonna test drive them both. Let's get to that. Alrighty, so hopping now onto the inside for the 2024 Sonata, where I'm gonna start here and then show you what has changed in 4 years interior-wise. So first of all, I don't have any memory seats, nothing special like this. I do have a little speaker on the side here. The doors look pretty much the same to me, but we'll get to it. So what do we get here on the interior for the 2020 Sonata Sport? You can see that the seats are extremely comfortable. They are power adjusted, and they have kind of like a red stitching that goes around. My steering wheel as well has a red stitching that goes around. We're very much with the classic steering wheel design of Hyundai, but it still works very well. I still have lane centering assist, adaptive cruise control, all that stuff is right here, and as well as my media controls, and we do have some paddle shifters, plastic for this as well. We have a mix of digital and analog for my gauge cluster, so I've got a little bit of both here. They do look quite sporty, so I am pretty happy with the way they look. I have been happy with the way they looked over the past 4 years. I've got a trunk button. I've also got lane keep assist buttons on my left-hand side. No rain sensing wipers or anything like that, but wipers work perfectly fine. Next up, we'll talk about the digital infotainment display. I've got the older operating system, so not the new one that you're gonna see in the 2024, but still, even in its older mode, it still has CarPlay, Android Auto, both are wired. We don't have the wireless. It has the ability to connect to BlueLink as well. You can start the car from the app, do all that stuff there. And no built-in navigation, nothing like that either. But again, it's very basic, but still digital. And the main thing when we were going to buy this was that it had to have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and some type of a nice size screen. And it did have that. Now, I do have not really any physical buttons in terms of media controls other than the tuning knobs, but my radio button, my media button, the quick access is actually just a straight up touch button. There's no haptic feedback in those at all. Mirror is standard, no digital there. Dual zone automatic climate control here, as well as heated seats and heated steering. So we like to see that as well. We have some physical controls for all of our HVAC stuff. Only USB-C ports down here as well. No wireless charger here either. I have the kind of button gear selector here that we've seen on the Tucson. I believe the 2024 Tucson still has that system. There is a lot of piano black here. Again, something that is hard to keep clean. I could also change my drive modes. I've got a normal, a sport, a smart, and a custom mode. So even in 2020, Hyundai was still doing their custom modes quite well. I have the auto brake hold, electronic parking brake as well as here. 2 cup holders, a little bit of storage inside here. I've got the sunroof as well. Overall, front seat, very comfortable, no problems at all. Yeah, I really enjoy it. And it's held up well. There's no ripping, nothing like that within the 4 years that my wife has owned this car. It's been driven quite a bit. We've got 55,000 kilometers here on the odometer. So we've driven this a lot, or enough for our family anyways, and it's all been perfectly fine and no rips, no tears, no issues on the interior. So that is very good news if you're interested in a 2020 still. But let's hop across the road there into the 2024 and see what's changed. So here we are now sitting in the all-new 2024 Hyundai Sonata's interior, where you can see there has been a massive upgrade in just 4 years. I tend to prefer this one, and I'll tell you why. We'll kind of go over it here. So let's start with the steering wheel. Completely different looking steering wheel. We have no more H. We rather have the Morse code for H, which is the 4 dots. I still do have adaptive cruise control. I still have my media controls. All those buttons are relatively in the same spot, although they've kind of switched places now. So my media controls are on my right hand side over here, and my adaptive cruise control are on my left. In the 2024, those things are reversed. I also no longer have the gear selector. I have a column kind of gear selector. Very good, kind of saves up some space. I tend to prefer this one. I do like it. Now, I also have 2 sets of memory seats, and both the driver and passenger seats are power adjustable, but the fact that I have memory seats and what we could consider here in Canada a base model Sonata is fantastic news. Now the door is very much the same handles, same window controls, everything is basically ported over from the other one. Kind of the same situation on the left hand side where I have illumination controls, trunk controls, all that is there. I still have paddle shifters, same wipers. I don't have automatic rain wipers, nothing like that. Although the massive change that you're probably noticing right off the bat, other than the steering wheel, is this huge one screen that combines my fully digital gauge cluster with my obviously fully digital infotainment display that has the upgraded operating system, which works a little bit faster. Again, we still don't have any built-in navigation, don't need it. 2024 does add the ability to have wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, although I still prefer the wired. The gauge cluster is perfect. It's got like a little bit of a new design, kind of will change colors with your selected drive mode, so we like that as well. But everything that I want to see there is right in the middle, and it looks very similar to the 2020, although this one is just digital where it shows you the numbers. That's really the only difference. The huge difference comes in the form of our infotainment display, and the look of obviously having the 2 combined screens is a nice modern touch. Now you also notice that the dash is kind of split up. There's still the gray everywhere, the gray, black, and silver, but they've kind of added this other kind of nice, you know, a brighter silver to the dash, which I tend to like. It looks like it might have ambient lighting, but it doesn't. I think you have to upgrade to the N line to get full ambient lighting, stuff like that. Now my seats are a little bit more boring here in the 2024 Sonata. I don't have the red stitching going around. I've got kind of this, you know, gray stitching that kind of matches everything. Not a big deal to me. The seats are still very comfortable in the 2020, comfortable in the 2024, so no problem. I've got HVAC controls, although now I have kind of like these touch buttons, not haptic buttons. But the one thing that they've added here, dual zone automatic climate control, of course, but I have heated seats, heated steering, perfectly fine, that's standard. But now it looks like we have 3 levels of ventilated seating in pretty much the base model of the Sonata. That is a huge one. Thank you, Hyundai, for including that. It still gets hot here in Quebec. We still need these things. And then I also do have a bunch of physical buttons for, you know, the quick access stuff, setup, media, search, all that stuff is going to be right here built in. So I like the addition of the physical buttons here. Now I have 2 USB ports, no USB-A in this vehicle at all. There is what looks like a space for a wireless charger, although there is none here. I've got my drive mode selector, and since I have the all-wheel drive, it includes a snow mode, a normal mode, a sport mode, and a My Drive mode that you can still customize. I've got the auto hold button. I've got a button that I can press to view my rear view camera. No 360-degree camera here on the 2024 version that I'm in right now. 2 cup holders, a little bit of storage, and they've kind of elongated this kind of armrest because, well, the shifter's here, so they had all this real estate that they actually gave us an armrest. A little bit more storage, I want to say, in this middle compartment. Still got the nice sunroof, got all the controls up there. Still a very nice place to spend time. I'm a huge fan of the interior of the 2024, but let's hop in the back. All right, so now we're sitting in the back seat for the 2020 Hyundai Sonata, and it is a great place to spend time. Now, I'm driving behind my wife's driver profile, who tends to drive a little bit closer to the steering wheel, so I've got a ton of room back here in this sedan. So really standard stuff, no heated seats back here, nothing crazy like that, but the leatherette seats, just like in the front, are very comfortable. I've got this cup holder that can slide down here for an extra stuff. Baby seat fits perfectly in here. It's pretty much the primary one that the baby does ride in because I switch cars so much. We have one USB-A charging port back here. There's no USB-C in the 2020 version. I've got a great view of the sunroof here, lots of headroom back here. And again, the red stitching kind of continues around the headrest and on the sides of the seats here, which just really look good. And it's just comfortable, big enough windows as well. I'm very comfortable. Could do, have done, will do a road trip in the back of the 2020 Sonata anytime. It's very comfortable and it's worked very well. Again, nothing wrong with it after 4 years of ownership and pretty much using it almost every day that my wife has used it. Perfectly fine. So now onto the back seat of the 2024 Sonata, and I feel like I have as much room behind my driver profile as I did behind my wife. These things are full sedans and they come with a ton of room. So I've got plenty of leg room, no problem. A little bit of a cutout here for the knees, absolutely great. I've got now 2 USB-C charging ports in the back. Great view of the sunroof, really good headroom. I've got the cup holders that are gonna fold down as well. I also have my baby seat installed right here. Fits perfectly well. I don't know if she can tell the difference between this Sonata. I don't know if she can tell the difference between any car, but if she had to, I don't know if she'd be able to pick these two out because they are so similar in so many ways, which maybe is a bad thing for people who are buying the 2024, but I mean, people who have the 2020, you're in business. Room-wise, it is so similar. And comfort-wise, too, it is so similar. The difference really is in the looks up front. The rear, they haven't really touched too much, and that's completely okay. I've kind of got a headliner here that isn't colored where it is on the 2024, but that's like the biggest difference that you're gonna notice other than we're missing the red stitching. But besides that, it's still a comfortable place to spend time. I would do a road trip down here, over here, no problem. And that's that. So now, with everything out of the way, both interiors, both exteriors, let's hop in both. Let's take it for a test drive. All right, so starting off driving the 2020 Hyundai Sonata Sport. So this is the one that my wife has owned for the past 4 years, and I have driven on and off, you know, kind of whenever me and my wife are going somewhere together. We're usually going to take this Sonata because, you know, I wasn't driving all these cars 4 years ago. So this was the car that, you know, we primarily drove together. So I do have quite a bit of experience Sonata-wise, specifically the Sonata that I'm currently behind the wheel of. And yeah, I mean, I feel like already I could tell that the ride quality is a little bit stiffer here with the 2020. It's definitely gotten improved for the 2024. But I will say that, you know, this has a little bit more performance. So give it some beams here. Let's see what it's got. Yeah, it's definitely like on the top end, not that bad. It's definitely got a lot more torque, like it kind of takes off the line a little bit, but you can hear that the engine noise is the exact same. You know, it doesn't really enjoy doing that. It never really has front wheel drive as well, but it's still, even it being front wheel drive, it feels slightly more better with the pickup. I think that's helped by the turbocharger here just a little bit. But honestly, there's not much difference. You're talking maybe like a second or two, not even that, between the two, like off the line, straight line speed. But honestly, you're not really buying a Sonata for straight line speed. You're driving it, you're buying to get point A to point B. It's well equipped. It's a sedan that has like SUV almost space inside of it. It's always impressed me just living with this thing, how much space we have been able to, you know, how much things we've been able to pack in here when going on road trips and different things like that with this vehicle. And it's just been so solid, like reliability wise, no problems whatsoever. There's not been any recalls. There's not been any check engine lights. There's nothing, no gremlins, nothing. We've done the maintenance regularly. Everything's perfect, literally no problem. And also, which is rare that I could even do, I can kind of speak to the safety factor of at least the 2020 Sonata, because my wife was actually rear-ended last winter in this car, completely smashed. Airbags did not go off, so we are still driving the same Sonata that was rear-ended, but it kept her safe, right? Like the, you know, the safety features here and the you know, the overall cabin was safe. She didn't, you know, over slam her head anywhere. Like, she got hit pretty hard. The back end was pretty destroyed. But again, since no frame damage was done, she got lucky and so did the car. So we're very lucky that both of them came out, relatively fine. Obviously the car taking most of the blow, which is what you want. But I'm so glad that the Sonata kept her safe and that she was in something that's safe. And now that I have a baby, I kind of have more confidence in it that I think this is a pretty well safe car. And it didn't take too long to actually rebuild, so that was pretty cool too. Hyundai got this back to us pretty quickly. So yeah, fuel economy wise, I'm doing 8.6 liters per 100 kilometers, which is very, very good. We don't really, we don't travel very far when we're using the Sonata, but we don't really, so that means we don't really spend that much, but also it's pretty fuel efficient as well. We kind of just drive it all the time in normal mode. We never really take it out of that. The only thing that it is missing that maybe would have avoided the collision altogether last year it is all-wheel drive, because the front-wheel drive kind of struggles in the winter a little bit, like a lot of front-wheel drive cars can do. The Sonata is unfortunately no exception to it. It does struggle, and the winter tires are kind of on their last legs here, so we're going to have to change them this year for sure, because we do not want even the slightest chance that happens again. And if I was to buy the Sonata again, I definitely would get the all-wheel drive. So speaking of driving the Sonata again, let me park this one up. Let me hop in the new one. I'll tell you whether I think it's absolutely worth it that you upgrade right away, or are you fine with getting an older version if you like the design? Let's get into the new one. All right, so in the brand new 2024 Hyundai Sonata, and look, there's not a lot of differences between the two when it just comes to straight up driving feel. Obviously looks, they feel different or look different. Inside, outside, that's simply the same. But steering feels the same. The seats, comfort feel the same. The only thing that changes slightly in the 2024 is the ride quality. The ride quality is a little bit less firm in the 2024 than it is in the 2020. So this 2020 is a little bit more bouncy, whereas this one is just a little bit more comfortable. I prefer this one, but steering feels the same. The way the steering wheel loads up, the way it feels when you pop it into sport mode, stuff like that, all really feels relatively simple. I think really what you're gonna get in the new Sonata is like just upgraded technology, stuff like that. Also upgraded looks, it looks drastically different, which to me I think is a good thing. I think the thing that makes Hyundai special, especially lately, is that their ability to just keep churning out new things that kind of, people start to, people would even consider copying because they're just really, really good design-wise. And so far, to me anyways, they haven't really put out a car that doesn't look good. All their refreshes have done very well, in my opinion. One thing, too, that I love about the Sonatas 2024, the drive, they're kind of ergonomics when you're driving. The steering wheel isn't like a perfect circle. It's more of like, you kind of got like these parts, these bumps that kind of come out of the steering wheel, which allows me to kind of keep both hands on the steering wheel, but also both hands on the armrest at the same time and be able to grab plenty of the steering wheel. Not a lot of cars have this. Hyundai's a really good job, especially with this newer generation steering wheel that they're rolling out. It's been very good. I've noticed it a lot, and you can especially notice it with the 2024 Sonata. So let's see how the engine does. Full foot to the floor. So it's not terrible, right? Like I can kind of mash the throttle and it does downshift, but you can hear the engine does not like to do that. It just kind of unleashes everything and you get what you get. Definitely the shifting feels better than, I like the shift by wire in here because it feels better than an IVT or a CVT. I think those are not the greatest feeling. So this does feel better than that, but I still give the edge to the 2020 Sport for having, the better shifting feel. You're not really you're not underpowered going with the 24. You're not underpowered if you walk in and you'd prefer to buy the 24 because you'd like all the different, tech upgrades that are in here. It's definitely so close, it's almost not even, it almost doesn't matter. But, here's the question, right? Here's the question of probably the whole video is, which one do I think you should get? And here's the thing. For me, I'm not running or rushing to go and get the 2024. I love the look of the N-Line 2024, but I'm not rushing to go get it. And this isn't really like a slight because I think the 2024 is bad. I just think that Hyundai equipped their cars so well that I have no need to upgrade even 4 years later. I feel like even the 2020 version was a little bit ahead of itself. I have everything I could ever want. I've got CarPlay, heated seats, heated steering. The only thing I'm missing is a good all-wheel drive system in that sedan.
And the good news is Hyundai have fixed that for 2024 and given us a all-wheel drive platform, or the option to have it. And I mean, that's just fantastic, but still it's not enough right now for me to just return the 2020 and then try to get the 2024. It's because it was just so good when it came out, and it still is. And I think that's a testament to how good, you know, yes, there is a point to be made that Hyundai kind of ages themselves out by continuously refreshing their stuff, and quite frequently sometimes. But still, even if you do have an older model and then they refresh it, you think, oh, it looks good, it's still very well equipped. Like, we cannot forget that. For the price point, both vehicles are around the same price point, and they're still really competitive, really, really great, and I think that's where it shines. So basically where I'm gonna leave it is, if you like the new upgrades, you want the bigger screens and stuff, the 2024 has got you covered. And honestly, right now, it's probably cheaper to buy a new car than it is a used car. But if you can get a good deal on a 2020, you are not missing very much at all, and that is a really, really good thing to me. So yeah, let me know what you think. Are you taking 2020 Sonata Sport, or are you going fully new 2024 Hyundai Sonata Preferred? Let me know in the comments what you think. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications so you never miss a single car that we post. We got them every week, and we've got a ton of them every single week. And with that being said, I will see you next week. See you in the next car. Take care.